we're still on this private hire, or we're going to talk about inspections. Every airplane is required to have an annual inspection. Period. Okay. An annual inspection, once a year. Okay. It's good until the last day of the month. So if I have it done on March 1st, it's good until March 31st of next year. If I have it done on March 15th, it's good till March 31st. Okay, so the day of the week or day of the month that it's done doesn't matter. So I need to have that annual inspection done. Who can do an annual inspection? It has to be an A&P mechanic with an inspection authorization. Get right. So got to have the IA. So you'll look at their signature in the book, and it'll be whatever the number is, A&P, IA. If you don't see the IA on there, we need to look at this. And the IA certificates expire every 2 years. So if I don't keep that current, okay, that's another problem. But it has to be a mechanic with an IA. All right, and if, and there again, we get a little bit too far-fetched. If you don't trust the guy, you can go to the FAA website and look up their qualifications. You can call the FSDO, ask them to look it up for you. If the guy signed it off and you can't find the qualifications in their database, ask some questions, okay, because that's going to make your insurance not valid. And you're like, who would do that? Okay, I've been hearing recently about a number of flight instructors, okay, people taking dual from an individual who was not and had not ever been a flight instructor. And you're like, so if, my flight instructor certificate expires every 2 years, if I let it expire and I keep on teaching, okay, it's bad, but these people have never ever had it. Okay, so understanding, you're not going to embarrass me if you ask to see my documentation, see my certificates. If you don't trust or know that person, but they must be, they have to have the inspection authorization. Okay, then if it's used for hire, I need a 100-hour inspection. Okay, so if my annual was done at 3,500 hours total time, now I need a 100-hour at 3,600. So if I'm flying this airplane 100 hours a month, okay, then I'm going to have to do a 100-hour inspection every month. Okay, and this can be done by an A&P. He doesn't have to have the inspection authorization. What's the difference between, basically, you get your A&P airframe and power plant, and then 3 years later, you jump through certain hoops, take certain tests, and you get issued the inspection authorization. More than you need to know. But an A&P, every 100 hours. That being said, you can go 10 hours over that if needed to make it back to home. Okay, so for instance, I'm going to send Sue up to take her Checkride, and it's a 2-hour flight up there. If I'm at, get right. Okay, she got a 2-hour flight up there, and then her Checkride, and then come back. If I'm at 35.98 when I send her there, that's not the intent of the rule, to let her go up there and get it done. If, but let's say we expect it to be a 2-hour trip up, a 2-hour check, or an hour and a half check ride, and 2 hours back. So basically I needed, so I'm at 35.95. Okay, I had 2 hours up there, 2 hours back, an hour for the check ride, I'm at my 5 hours. Okay, I can go over that 3,600 for her to come home. Does that make sense? I can go, but if she comes home and she's at 36.02, she flew slow. Okay, so now my next 100 hour is due at 37. I only get 98 hours on my next one. I can go over this by 10 hours as necessary, but I lose that. I don't, on my annual, if I have it done on March 1st and it expires on March 31st, I can take it in the last day of the month and have the mechanic sign it off on April 1st. And then I can kind of build a month in. Or if it sits for 3 months, I don't don't lose anything, okay? I can, if I'm gonna be parked, cause I'm whatever, I can wait till September 1st to get that thing annualed. I don't care, okay? But this 100-hour, if it's required, again, so if it's being used for hire, I'm required to have that 100-hour. Okay, my transponder. If I'm in an airspace that requires a transponder, which would be airspace Alpha Bravo Charlie or above 10,000 feet. So if I need a transponder, now I also need ADSB. And this one has to have an inspection every 24 calendar months. Okay, so my transponder has to be tested every 24 calendar months. If I'm, and then we can argue, I'm not required to have it down here in this airspace around my home airport. So if I let it expire, technically I should turn it off or remove it from the airplane. We can kind of argue about that one, the pros and cons, but understanding, I absolutely, if I'm going to the class Charlie or higher airspace, 24 calendar months. Okay, that's the correct answer. My ELT, okay, every year I need an inspection. It's typically done at the annual. That's kind of convenient. Inspect the ELT. So if it goes for, just check it every year, make sure that it's functional, okay? The batteries, half-life. Okay, if I put a 5-year battery in there, regardless of whatever it is, it's good for 2.5 years. If I put a 10-year battery in there, it's good for 5 years. If I got a 1-year battery, it's only good for 6 months. Okay, so half of the shelf life of that battery. Okay,
as far as replacement, right? Not inspection, but replacement.
Correct, yeah. Okay. And so, and the mechanic, when they change that battery, they should tell you when the next one is due to be replaced again. Okay, if that, okay, when does it have to be changed or recharged? Okay, half-life or 30 minutes operation. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, it means that last guy made a god-awful landing and set the ELT off and taxied over to the gas pumps and gassed it up, and you know what time he landed and gassed up and you're getting in it. And when you crawl in the airplane, often, kind of silently, you turn the radios on, you hear this whoop, 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 and you're like, what is that noise? Well, that is your ELT, and if you tune into 21.5, it'll go, whoop, whoop, whoop. It'll bleed over. Yeah. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Okay, but you understand what that is, and so if you hear that little whoop, whoop, your ELT is going off, and it's bleeding over to whatever frequency you're on. Okay, so if it's been less than 30 minutes, we can keep on going. Okay, you probably want to call and make some reports that, yeah, that wasn't accidental, there's not really an accident. Just to be nice to whoever might have heard it.
Who would you call?
I call Flight Service Station.
Okay.
Because they hear a phone, they hear a report of an ELT going off. Yeah. We have to assume that there's an airplane down. Okay. Unless we can, I've been known to walk around airports with a cookie sheet to block the signal to identify where the offending airplane is.
Oh boy.
And so you're like, oh, there's a trick. But if we can identify the airplane, then we can silence it, or at least identify it so we know that we don't need to be looking for an airplane. Mm-hmm. But if we have one inadvertently go off, I want to make sure that we let people know that we've silenced it, but it didn't just. We didn't crash an airplane and then the battery died, so it quit going off.
Right.
Okay. You had a question? Okay. So ELTs important. Testing them. When can I test them? I can test them at 5 minutes past the hour. So from 1 o'clock to 1:05, 2 o'clock to 2:05, not more than 3 sweeps. So I go whoop whoop whoop, done. Okay, what's gonna happen if I'm in the tower, okay, and I hear that whoop, whoop, I'm looking at the clock, and I'm counting. Okay, so, not all clocks are accurate, so you're like, okay, we're close enough. If we go 4 sweeps, person can't count, whatever, but we're paying attention to that. And so somebody said, the worst time to ever have a heart attack is when you're playing charades. So
Yeah.
the worst time to have an aircraft accident is 5 minutes past the hour.
Oh, right.
That's not funny, but funny, yes.
Yeah, so, do we have
Yeah.
questions about that? Okay,
I was looking it up, so is it 30 minutes? For some reason I was thinking it was 1 hour continuous operation.
Or
okay.
cumulative.
I think
It's
I've got 30
cumulative.
minutes on there, so,
I thought 30 minutes.
Okay, that's right.
yeah, so, and it's far better to be err on the side of conservative. If I'm debating, is it 30 minutes or an hour? Let's go with the lower number. Okay, same thing on fuel reserve, 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Hey, you know what? Let's just go with the 45 minutes and I can't be wrong. Okay, is it 500 below the clouds or 1,000 below the clouds? If I can't remember, go with the more conservative answer. I can always look it up to get the good information. Okay, so
Take a break?
take a break.
Okay.